Lee here. Just wanted to do a very quick tutorial, just a minute or two, just to show you how to level your cake with your crumb coat, how to get your crumb coat right. Crumb coat is the most important part when decorating a cake because it's the foundation. So everything that you put on top requires good foundation, same as with a building, to keep everything steady, to make sure that everything sticks to the sides and does all the things that you want it to do and gives you a better overall result. So what I have done so far is stacked my layers. Now this is a 4-layer 5-inch cake. It's a small cake. These are my cylinder cakes. I sell a lot of these for people who want to provide a cake just for a small birthday party, for a family gathering, or just to say thanks to their neighbours or something like that. Now, because they're 4 layers in height and only a small cake, they can be difficult to cut. So what I have done is every single time I make one of these, I put a cake board halfway up. Now the cake board sits above the bottom 2 layers and below the top 2, so it's basically 2 cakes stacked on top of each other with a cake board in between. So you cut down your top cake, remove the board and cut again. I find it's much easier for serving and it creates less difficulties for customers. I don't have to explain a whole different way of cutting cakes from what everyone's used to. Now, I've thickly loaded the sides with buttercream and the top. I'm just going to show you how to smooth it and straighten it up. So I've got a 6-inch board down here and I like to scrape the board first just to get any excess buttercream away from there. It doesn't clean it perfectly, obviously, but it does get a lot of that buttercream off that's sitting there. Otherwise you tend to scrape it and it just goes further out that way. So I'm just going to go around the outside now, just holding my scraper tool fairly straight. And I'm not putting any pressure on my cake really, a very small amount perhaps, but not really. Mostly I'm just letting the cake board and being guided by the cake board and turning with the turntable just to give it a nice even coat. And then we'll go up here. Now I need to add a little bit of extra buttercream. You can see I've got a little gap there. If I turn it so that that part is, well, you can't really see, but it does dint in a little. So what I'll do is just pop a little bit of extra buttercream over that. Not a lot, just a little. Remember, your crumb coat is not designed to look pretty necessarily, nor does it need to be thick. It can be quite thin. So if I go around there, you can see that I've now covered in that spot because this is really just the basics. Now that's almost a nice semi-naked cake. Not quite, almost. Now on the top I've got some bits that are sticking up everywhere and I'm going to show you how to do this top part, which is the bit that I think most people find the most difficult. If you can get these sides straight, then anything that you put on top will mean that your cake will be much straighter. You'll get a better overall look whether you are covering with buttercream, which is obviously my personal preference, or you're covering with fondant, you will get a better result. So with the top, using a scraper tool again, now I use one that's got a metal handle because they're nice and light and I prefer that, but it's up to you. You can get them with timber handles, you can get them in acrylic, you can get longer ones, shorter ones, every kind. This is just my personal choice. So what I do is I go beyond the edge of the top of the cake and then I just very lightly pull across. Now I'm not putting any pressure on, and I think that's where most people come unstuck, is they feel like because it's a scraper tool you must have to scrape across, but you don't. You just lightly pull and let the weight of the tool itself do the work. So I'm not actually digging holes into the top and I'm not redistributing the buttercream to places that it wasn't initially. All I'm doing is very lightly dragging from the outside to the inside, but not putting any weight down, just using the weight of the actual tool. So you can see already I've got a fairly nice straight top. That's as much as I'm going to do because it's a crumb coat. So this will now go in the fridge for about 15 minutes and that will set up nicely so that I can then put my final coats on. But I did want to show you what how to do the top finishes on a cake so that you can make sure that yours have got that nice flat top. Because as I say, you get this part right and the rest is much easier. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a lovely day.